begin.
Oh, okay.
Hi, best friend.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So we'll go right into it. Hello, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. You gotta do it with me. Yes. I have my best friend here with me, Madame Prisca Joseph.
Hello.
So before we begin, I'm going to introduce my wonderful, amazing friend of so many years, right? So her and I have been friends for about 18 years. You don't even remember.
How old are you? Yeah. Yeah, but
We have this on tape. So usually make me feel bad for not remembering things, but
I
now I have
I
proof.
do remember.
Now I have proof. Okay? Because usually you be remembering things and I don't. So at least I have this recorded and I cannot take blame for anything, you know? But anywho's, so yes, we've been friends for 18 years. She's the most selfless person and loving person that I know. I think if you put her and me together, I don't know. She's the good one. If you had to compare us, I would feel like she looks like the better person. She's an extroverted. Are you agreeing with this?
No, I said look. I agree with the look.
Girl, oh, this is being recorded. But no one really knows the other side of her. I have the privilege of getting to know that, you know. But yes, we've been friends for a lot, like 18 years. She is a wonderful person, like through and through. I am very blessed to have you as my best friend, like for real, for real. Um, yeah, but she left me.
Jeez. I wasn't
She
ready.
left me. Yes, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, this girl left me and I was all by myself. I kind of all over the place, but that's how our conversation usually goes. But yes, like I said, we've been friends for a while. She is a very loving and caring person. Not to say that I'm not the same way, but she's very like out there compared to me. I'm very introverted. She's very extroverted. She laughs at everything. Everything's funny for her. Like for me, um I don't know. I have a specific kind of humor. I'm sarcastic and she's not, but she catches on to um a lot of things. But our friendship is very is different and I love her. You know, it's been like we've been together for a while and you know, God has really blessed me with such a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful person. Yes. So this is what I have to say about you. Now, can you introduce yourself to the YouTube people?
Well, do I get to say stuff about you?
I said introduce yourself. I mean, you
Ah.
can say a few things, but you can say a thing or
So
two.
hi everyone. My name is Prisca, as Christine
Sure.
says. Well, Christine says I'm her friend. I'm gonna say she's my best friend, my one and only best friend.
Okay. My
Yeah.
bad.
And well, I am an outgoing person, very caring, patient. Um, I know it's not good to be like saying those things about yourself.
No, but I can attest to it. You are. A
But
cosign.
yeah, um, I feel like I love people and I love seeing people smile. So I always try to do something that can put a smile into someone's face. So
Which
yeah,
I sometimes have a problem with it, but we might get into that
yeah,
later on.
that's the thing.
So okay, she's kind of having a little difficulty explaining about herself, but I'll help her because that's what best friends does. That's what we do. So she is a family. She comes from a family of seven. I think that's very interesting to talk about. I didn't mention why I have her here. She is a preacher's kid, and yes, family of seven and a preacher's kid. So when she was here in St. Martin, I went to her dad's church, and she says I'm her one and only best friend, and it's the same way for me as well. After you reach a certain age, you don't really call people best friend, but with her, like, it's so many years that we've been friends. Like we've had times that we didn't really talk that much, and then when we talk, it's like no years or no time have passed by,
Right.
and
Right.
she's one of the person I can really really open up to. These jokes that you're not supposed to be telling people. This is the friend that I have that I can tell, I can be my open, like I can come to with my true self and not being judged about, and she'll listen, she'll be like, we laugh, we make the jokes, and she will give me like sound counsel. So that's what that's the relationship. I keep going back to a relationship, but yes, um she comes from a family of 7. She
Mhm.
lives in Boston. That's
Mhm.
when I told you guys she left me, but yes, she lives now in Boston. And so your family consists of your mom, your dad, you have
Mhm. And there's five of us, 5 siblings. There's my oldest, the second one, and then the middle one, the you know the
middle
one that
child.
always needs attention.
Do you
And then
find
there's the 2 younger ones. The baby is a boy. Well, baby.
and he has grown up so fast, big up to loads. You find
Yeah.
as the middle child is do you find you seek attention?
A lot. And I'm not ashamed. I am the center of attention, you know?
Whatever. Well, okay, I don't believe that, but I guess here we're going to be learning about each other.
Mm.
I'm not gonna go back to what you told me last week, because then this conversation going to not last week, earlier this week. Sometimes I feel like she don't really know me, and yeah, or yeah, so forget what you told me.
What are we talking about?
I don't call you enough. Da, da, da,
Oh
da, da, da.
boy.
But this is not the place for it right now. We'll have this conversation. It's kind of difficult having interviewing you.
I can't. I
Interviewing
can't.
your friend is a whole different ball game. But
Yes.
you are a preacher's kid. Tell me about that. How has that been for you growing up? Was it something difficult, or yeah? So
So, preacher's kid,
wait,
pastor's
let
kid.
me go back to that. Your dad had a church, First Baptist, well, a Baptist church here,
Mhm.
Haitian. So I think it's good to kind of give that background, because coming from a Haitian background is very everyone knows each other. St. Martin is very small,
Mhm.
and everyone knows each other, right?
Yes.
So I just feel like I should have said that. But yes, how was that? How was it growing up in a preacher's household in St. Martin, a small island? Um,
Oof.
yeah, being the center of attention. You see, like being a preacher's kid, you are definitely the center of attention.
Definitely.
So
So, where do I start? It's I feel like for my personality, it was cool. It was awesome. I got to be the center of attention. In the
I can't
church,
believe
everyone knows
this.
you. You're learning new things.
Wow, I
So
never saw it from
yes,
this light.
it was for me at least at the beginning when you were a little younger, it was perfect because everyone loved you, everyone wanted to adopt you, and
Everyone loved her for real though. I think that's
and
how our friendship works. Because I don't need
and
to be the center. I don't like it.
yes, yes. But everyone, it was perfect because everyone had eyes on you, and then it gets to the point where you start becoming a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's eyes is on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was not super fun. But like especially with St. Martin, it's like, for example, right? I was I went to school on the French side. By the time I get home, my mom already knew what I was doing because people would call ahead of time and be like, "Oh, I saw your daughter here. I saw your daughter there." And um, in parentheses, my dad was the president of the pastors, So front side and dot side, when all the churches would get together, he would present us. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone, front side and Dutch side, knew us,
You,
and they
you,
knew
yeah.
us as they didn't know our name per se, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They just knew it was the pastor's daughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was, oh, they would just literally call me by my last name or by
Mm-hmm.
my dad's first name.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know me, but they knew
Mm-hmm.
who I was,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
So where when it comes to me being a teenager, wanted to like either go out or do anything, I had a standard to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So it got a little stressful, let's say. It could get stressful.
Okay.
But I was young enough when I left St. Martin. So I
How
didn't
old did
get
you
to the
leave again?
point. I think I left at 16.
Okay. That's when
So
she left me, yes.
I left at 16. So I didn't have like um I didn't get to the point where, oh, I want to go out by myself, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can guess how it was for my two older sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Rambling, but
No, but
as a
actually I was gonna
pastor's
ask
kid,
you if you could, like you said it was good for you to be on the spotlight, but I could imagine how different it was for your older siblings because yeah.
yeah, it was different. It because like when we moved here in Boston, we would talk about it, and their experience was way different.
Oh wow.
Yes, I was like, oh, were we living the same life? Like what? They would say like people are always talking about them, people are always assuming things. You
Mm-hmm.
can't, like, simple things, from how friendly people are, right? They would give you rides, they would
Mm-hmm.
stop, they would offer you things. For a young person like me, it wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
mean anything. But
Mm-hmm.
because they were older, they had the age of dating and things like that. So if they did anything that involved a guy, even
Mm-hmm.
if it didn't mean anything, people would put meaning into it, and they would go and tell the parents without
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
without even asking us anything. So that was like their experience. But for
Haitian,
me,
they don't ask you anything. As a kid, you don't have nothing to say. It's
nope.
just what I tell you or what, you know?
Yep. Like if
So
you don't like my parents, I believe they did like a really good job raising us. So we didn't have um we weren't in trouble to the point where they couldn't trust us. They
mm-hmm.
always tell somebody where you're going, or
Mm-hmm.
always let us know what's going on, so
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
if some they can defend us if
Mm-hmm.
something
Happens. If
would
someone comes
happen.
to them
Like,
about something.
exactly. So when people would come to my parents, they would already know, oh, she was with that person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
So it's like no secret.
So
So
was
in
that the
that part,
standard that they wanted you guys to just
yeah,
let me know?
yeah. So for like church wise, my dad would always tell us, don't, like, how can I put this? Like, don't make him stop preach the word. Because if he's preaching something, not to do something that's in the Bible, something that's against, the Bible, and
Mm-hmm.
we go
Mm-hmm.
and do those things,
Mm-hmm.
it would be a shame for him to go out there and tell
Oh,
other people.
child. You know your father's a real deal.
Right.
No, like for real, he's a real deal. But
Yeah.
there's so much that you can do as well. Even in the Bible, it talks about if you cannot hold order in your home, you can't lead
Yep.
people.
Yep.
And I watch that. I watch it when I see preachers. If you're not leading your children or your wife, you and your wife don't we you guys don't have a good relationship. How
Mm-hmm.
are you going to be leading um
Yep.
God's people? So I've always admired your family. I've always admired your dad because the same person, and it's not everyone that has access to your family like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people can portray one thing, but because you and I are friends, like you tell me things. Like if things wasn't good, I would know. If things were good, thank God.
Mm,
I knew that. And I was like, wow, you guys would do this together, he would do that. Like the family was the center for him. Like the way he speaks, your father is a
yeah.
very calm
Oof,
spoken person, cha. And the way the way he leads in church is the same way he does it at home.
yep.
And some preachers are not always like that. They're one way in church, and behind closed doors, they're rude,
Yep.
disrespectful towards the kid. They don't speak life into their kids. Hello.
Yep.
When you do that, I can still now you have to switch your camera around. Yeah, you went like this.
Wait.
Did you get a call or something?
Yeah, a call went through.
Okay. So
My
I was on
bad.
a roll, sis.
You
But
were?
yes, as I was saying, sometimes they portray one thing and they portray one thing, but behind closed door there's something else. There's
Exactly.
someone else. And it shows through their kids. Some preachers they're some life happens.
Yeah.
But if you're not speaking life into your kid and you see the kid acting up and you see they don't really have a good relationship with their wives,
Mm-hmm.
that speaks volumes. And for me, I watch these things.
Yep. And I could have seen it too because like of course I saw like how people lived, and I was trying to connect to people like us, like pastors' kids. And some people would just be like, oh, pastors' kids. Once you hear they're pastors' kids, it's not all
Rebels.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're out there
that
in the
was like a
street.
motivation. And my dad kept saying it over and over, like his goal is to preach the Bible. So for him to do that, we need to be in a certain way.
Did you ever feel pressured?
No. You know why? Because the way he does it, like I pray that I can do the same. The way he did that, he always told you, it's not like those Haitian parents that tell you, don't do this, don't do that, period. I tell you not to. He always tell you, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. If you do this, this is the consequences. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. So he from get-go, he gives you the
The
knowledge,
Okay.
and then he gives you the option to
Mm-hmm.
choose, and then he tells you what's going to happen. Of course, some of the things he's like, don't do that, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
As parents, you have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like the main choices of life,
Mm-hmm.
he explained them to you, to
Mm-hmm.
the point where when you go out there, your friends are telling you, oh, don't do this, your parents are not watching. Then if he had told you don't do it, period, you wouldn't know what you're standing on. But the fact
Mm-hmm.
that he said, don't, okay, let's say, I don't know, don't smoke.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just say don't smoke, period. He said
Mm-hmm.
don't smoke because these are the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Don't smoke because, like an example. So when you're with your friends and they're like, oh, your parents won't know, you
Mm-hmm.
can just eat a gum afterwards. You're not gonna be like, oh yeah, for real, my parents are not gonna see. You're gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna smoke. Not because my parents didn't tell me not to, but
Mm-hmm.
because these are the reasons why I'm
Well,
not going to.
he didn't say because God gonna see you.
Mm-hmm.
Because God is going to see you. That wasn't one of the reasons.
That, like, he says that because he's not going to always be with us. God is always going to be with us, right?
True.
So we're not to be fearing human beings. We are to
Mm-hmm.
fear God, because then
Mm-hmm.
since he's always with us, even in closed doors
Mm-hmm.
where no one else will know, he will know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With that knowledge, you know you know what your grounds are. So you're
Mm-hmm.
not doing it because you fear your parents. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
really taught us that, and that was like very helpful for us, because yeah, peer pressure, man.
Girl,
that
I
could have
love
been
that.
that could have been a thing,
I
but
love
it
it
wasn't.
because with me it was different. It was more of a don't do that. Period. There's no explanation as to the reason why.
Mm.
And with my parents, is used specifically my mom, because she's the one I used to go to church with. Whenever something is said on the pulpit, once they preach about something, I know I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna hear about it. So like they used to preach about like simple things. Like there was a time when internet, like being an MSN was a thing.
Mm.
And everyone was an MSN. You used to stay all night. And then once they preach about it in church, I know for sure my mom is gonna come and talk about it and not, but your dad, he I don't know if that was a good example, but instead of being influenced by what people say, he gave you these options and gave you that understanding and explained to
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
the reason why, not just come, don't do it, if that's it. And I have nothing else to tell you. And that's beautiful, because all your siblings stayed within the faith. Everyone is different, but all of you guys stayed within the faith. And that says a lot about the kind of parents you have.
Yeah. And one other thing that I was thinking of as well, um, let me see if I can translate that. He always said, follow me, obey your parents according to the Bible.
Okay.
Right? So it does, how it looks like, it's, if it's your parents, if they are going against the Bible, they could easily be like, I'm your parent, I tell you what to do, you're gonna do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But he always said, listen, you're gonna listen to me until if I go against the Bible.
Okay,
Like,
I got you. I got
like
you.
obey me according to the Bible.
Unless I stop going according to the Bible.
Yes.
That's interesting, because sometimes people be preaching about the word. They tell you don't do this, they don't do that, but their lives say different. And as kids, of course, we're going to hear what you say, but your actions speak louder
Yeah.
than your words.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many times we always had like a prayer meeting every Wednesday.
And they have family meetings too. What Haitian family? I don't know most, because what family, that was mind blowing to me when Prisca used to tell me these things, and even
Really?
prayer meetings, because people, like, church was for me and for most was just on Sundays, and on the Tuesdays when I used to go to church. But like the family, God being the center of the family is not always the case in all families that attend churches. But proceed. Wednesdays prayer meeting, like,
Every
and that just brought me back
Wednesday.
to when you used to tell me about it.
Every Wednesday, like we would have prayer meeting, and like we would read the Bible. Like I have my old Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I could see like dates, and I would write, like, if my mom's not here. I remember my mom and my two older sisters went to New York for vacation. I have it written down, and he would ask questions. Everything that was there, we wrote it down in the Bible, so it helped us read the whole Bible. And then so we would pray, sing, and then he would go with one chapter for that day, and then questions. And then he would open it to general questions if we have questions about life and anything, like boys, whatever it is. So that would be like our bonding time, where and he would not miss. One time I remember we had guests over. We had started our prayer meeting. I guess they just came over unannounced. Instead of, we're like thinking, oh, okay, we get to leave. He's like, all right, you can be invited in it.
Ooh.
And he kept going. And I was like, okay, you got your
I love that.
priorities straight.
Yes.
And those little things just sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, like, my dad, late night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., receiving calls and leaving. And then, like, you don't really think about those things when you're young, but back when we moved here, we started talking about it. We were like thinking about my mom, how all these things could have affected her. But the fact that she was so strong, and she never complained. She knew that he was a full-time pastor, and what he had to do, even if he had to leave 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning to go and pray with someone, or like the car he had called it the
Machine Evangel.
right? To help everyone,
The messenger's car.
a ride. whenever. And my mom, she just stood by his side and was just like so helpful all the time. So
Wow.
these, as a kid, when you're thinking about those things, you're just like, wow. He, if you guys are both going the same direction, I don't know, I just wish.
That's beautiful. That's
Like,
beautiful to hear. And imagine being in that environment too. Is it's beautiful to see because, girl, um, being in a relationship, sometimes we don't always think about like our purpose in life.
mm,
Like especially when we're young, you see this person, you like this person, and you're like, okay, we're gonna have some beautiful babies together, we're gonna have a beautiful wedding, marriage, blah blah blah, but we don't think about the purpose of it, because with your mom saying I do to your dad, that comes with the responsibility of
yeah.
having to, you got to be able to trust your husband, and knowing the type of person your dad is. There was no like, oh, he's leaving at 2 a.m. Well, what can he be doing,
None of that.
right? So
It didn't even
knowing
cross, like, it wouldn't even cross her mind.
so it just, that's just another thing that sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, we have to put that into consideration when you're um deciding to get married to someone, because marriage is a big thing. Because if she didn't want to, she could have made noise. um why you leaving at 2 a.m.? Why you can't wait until 7 o'clock in the morning to go and deal with this,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
understanding her role, and girl, it all works together, it all comes together.
Yeah.
So I asked her about the pressure. I wanted to ask you, like, seeing that, what have you learned? How has like just being in that environment influenced you as a person, individual person, like
Mm-hmm.
you?
Being in my parents' environment, or
Just seeing, yeah, being a preacher's kid, a pre-K, seeing how your dad and your mom like maneuver together, and knowing that not everyone has, Prisca, I'm telling you, not every pre-K has that kind of experience. And that's sad to say, but that's
yeah,
reality.
yeah. I I really think that everything together like shaped me to be who I am,
Mm-hmm.
because but it's so weird because my sisters had the same experience, but they're different. I, I don't know. But
Uh,
oh, you see what I mean? But
okay, what kind of
for
person would you did describe yourself earlier on. You said you're kind, you're caring, you're loving. Um, but just looking at the environment, your dad is a caring person, your mom is a caring person as well. But how do you think that like maybe your perspective in life, how has that um
let's see.
affected?
Okay, let's see if I can put it into words.
Okay,
So for
kind of a deep
me,
question. I like the
yeah.
question.
For me, it it shaped me into who I am, because seeing um how my parents raised us and the way they love the Lord, and how they not only saying it but living it, made me realize what kind of life I wanted to live, right? I didn't just want it to be a someone in the church, someone going to church. I wanted to actually be, I wanted to literally, I wanted to have the relationship that my parents have for
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Okay.
Because they, when they say put God first, literally they
Mm-hmm.
put God first
Mm-hmm.
above e- everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like even
Mm-hmm.
in church, like, when you're a leader,
You go
people
through a lot of things.
people say a lot of things and they expect you to fail. And
Oh.
it could be seen, um it could be seen by, like, when there's things happening in the church. Like for us, we're building the church, it was a big responsibility, and a lot of big decisions needed to be done,
Yeah.
and it could have been easily affecting not only themselves, but they
Mhm.
could affect their relationship.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
because of how strong their faith in God is, that they were able to separate things, they were able to stood their ground and make decisions, even if people were like saying it's not gonna work, you're gonna fail, they expect you to fail, and then eventually, yeah, it did go through.
Mhm.
um I don't know if I can go into details. That's why it's broad, but um
And I think to now I understand why you were so happy when you saw the church when you came down. Like your dad played a huge role when it came to the
whew,
building of the church.
that
Yeah.
girl, that was the first time I saw my father teared out.
Uh,
He teared because decisions he wanted to make, most of the people weren't okay with that.
mhm. Mhm.
I think one of the um
Ethan's.
no, one of the decisions that they
Okay.
wanted to take a loan, but he's like, I don't want to take loans. We
Mhm.
want to make it happen with our money, and because we don't, because
Want to owe.
once they're gone,
Mhm.
who's gonna pay for it?
True.
It's gonna be for it's gonna go to waste, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So he wanted to just raise the money and just build a church, and
Mhm.
a lot of people was against it. There was a lot of back and forth, to the point where he's like, this is what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And then the tears, oh Lord, that's the first time I wanted to fight for my dad.
Uh,
It was terrible, but he
mhm.
stood his ground. He made it happen, and then after, at the end, everyone was like, oh, it happened, it actually, it was good. And
Mhm.
then you can see that, like, he trusted God.
Mhm.
He knew that even if it was a hard decision, he would have people going against him.
Mhm.
He still, God would have make it, happen.
Mhm.
So showing his faith like that made me see that it's not just him saying, oh, believe in God. He's showing the way, like, living in an environment like that
Mhm.
made me realize that I can actually trust God.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He went through with him, he's gonna do
Mhm.
it for me.
Amen.
So
Yes.
it helped me as a human being, to actually trust God, to actually make decision and stand my ground, to, well, most of the time. But there's a lot of things that I'm doing now as an adult, or decisions that I'm able to make, is through experience that I saw my parents did, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And yeah,
go ahead.
I don't know.
I didn't want to lose my train of thought because in that it's very important for you to have that relationship with God because some not when he gives you a vision, who's
Mhm.
calling you? When he gives you a vision, um of course you want to also have counsel from people, but
Mhm.
it's important for you to know what he's called you to do because sometimes people out of fear they might derail you from the path that God set you to go and do.
Mhm.
So having that faith and having that relationship with God is very keen, and hearing what he says, like it's very important. And like even with me with like Kingdom Sister, certain sometimes I'm like, God, did you I know that you told me this. I wrote it down. But sometimes your reality might not look like what he told you to do, but it's for you to just have that faith that he's gonna do it,
Mhm.
and the fact that your dad showed that, and the fact he stand his ground, because your dad, he's not a bossy person, he's very
Mhm. That was the first time, I'm telling you. I was just like, I was
listen, but
shocked too.
when God tell you something, you're gonna have to stand your ground for it and just pray and know that he will come through for you. So
Yeah.
your experience here in St. Martin and in Boston as a pre-K, how was that different for you?
Oof, way different.
Oh,
Way
child.
different. So St. Martin, like I told you, I was center of attention, loved it. It was perfect. I remember moving to Boston, we went to a church, and when it was Christmas time, I was waiting for the countdown. I was waiting to cheer. I was waiting for
Oh,
everyone to be like, ah,
Christmas
give
or New
the
Year?
pastor's daughter gift. None of that
Oh, you
happened.
guys used to get a lot of gifts and
Yes.
cards.
A lot of, yeah. But everyone used to, like, it was the
Not
Christmas spirit.
everyone.
It was, everything was there, you know, like,
I said not everyone. But I'll go into that after and explain you how it is being the best friend of a pre-K kid. To an extent, I don't mind it, but I'll show you what it was like for me. Go ahead.
oh boy. Like, I can already imagine. But it was not the same at all. I was not known. My dad was with another pastor
Mm-hmm.
when he moved here. So so it was not like, I still had the attention because they're like, oh, the pastor's daughter, and I started now being in the leadership positions because the church was smaller than the one in Boston, in St. Martin. So our family was doing everything. My sister and my brother was playing instruments. My older sister was singing. I was doing youth stuff. It was our family in the midst of it, but it wasn't like St. Martin where, I don't know, it was a little different. And because the other pastor was the president, uh, um a lot of the things that could have been changed, that's a whole different story, but
Yeah.
a lot of things that could have been fixed, a lot of things that you can see the error, but because my dad is so soft and so patient, he doesn't just go up there and change. He's like, if you go somewhere, you see everyone jumping on one feet, just jump on one feet. And then you tell them, oh, you know, you can use the second one. Weirdly or not, I don't know, but
Okay.
like,
Okay.
he's like, don't just go in there and start jumping on 2 feet and
Because
tell them, oh,
it
you're
could
doing it
create
wrong.
some kind of bad vibe to you because you just come in and now you wanna give
Right.
orders.
So we're like, but we can see what's wrong. We can fix it. But he's like, but there's a way of doing things. There's someone above you. You can't just go and change things. So it got a little frustrating where you were in charge, you were doing everything, you were preaching, there's
How
a
was it for
way.
you?
For me,
Mm-hmm.
it
Besides not being the center of attention, I don't know how I missed that.
how did you?
Because I
How
give you
did
all
you?
the attention.
I
It
know,
was
and I
just me
loved
and
it.
you for the most part.
And I loved it.
Girl.
But for me, it it was a little it was a little spiritual wise. I felt like I stayed the same
Mm-hmm.
from growing up. I had all those little classes, we had activities, we had um summer camp, like everything we
Speaking of
had.
activities,
Every
Prisca was
summer
in
we
everything in
Mhm.
church. You were in everything in church.
I was.
And she
And
dragged me in everything with her.
and you're welcome.
And then she left me and I was still there.
There was there was a lot of activities and there was a lot of opportunity to learn stuff.
True.
I remember we even started going to different churches with different youths to do things too. So there was growth there. But
Mm-hmm.
when I moved to Boston, where we were, it was a smaller place. So we had to be leaders to the point where I was pouring and pouring and pouring what I already knew, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting new things,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You were
right?
not being filled.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
besides we still had family. My dad made sure to always like
Stick
keep the
to
events
prayer
going
meetings.
in
Mm-hmm.
our family. Like
Mm-hmm.
he would, excuse me, so he would randomly just say, okay, let's learn this chapter, Psalm 27. Whoever gets it by the end of the month gets money. So he creates activities to keep us learning and doing things, because we started complaining
Mm-hmm.
we're not really being leaders, we're pouring what we know, but we weren't really receiving in the other end, right? So that's the experience I got when we had just moved here. Um, but besides that, it I like he made us see that we've definitely grown. Because if we stayed in St. Martin, there's a lot of people, and we would still be maybe in the leadership position, but not that fast and that quick and that. So it made us grow. There's so many musicians in St. Martin. My siblings wouldn't be the one up there playing, right? They would have been probably doing something
That is
else.
true.
So when we moved here, they were the only ones that could play. So they were not forced, but they were
They had to
obligated
step
to
up.
go
Yeah.
and do it. I was the only one able to do worship team. So I would be up there every Sunday singing, which I love. I love singing. I had no complaints about that.
Center of attention, yes.
Now singing, worshiping. We're talking about something else here.
But this you're doing it for God, so God is the center of attention. Correction.
Yes.
My bad, best friend. But
so that
your
was a good
experience in
thing.
St. Martin prepared you.
Exactly.
Prepared you guys for that.
Unknowingly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because I could say the same thing for me. Although I kind of was complaining that you put me in everything. Yes, you had me in everything, but looking back at it, I wouldn't change it for anything, because like even singing and those type of things, because I used to get nervous every time with Flamme Divine. I used to get nervous all the time, regardless of how many times we went on stage. But now I don't really get nervous when I have to stand in front of a crowd. So these moments, these things, you might not see it as, or you may not even understand the reason why you're doing it. You might see it as minute, like I'm just doing it just for show, but it is preparing you for what is to come. So don't see it as, so that's why it's important to always do what you're doing with the best, that with all that
heart.
you have, so okay, so that was it. You guys were not getting poured in. Was it something that got fixed, or you guys just got used to, like, what did you do in order for you to like be filled so that you can pour in?
We looked elsewhere. We went to different churches when we can. We did our own things, because we realized that the church was just expecting us to just keep pouring and pouring, and we had nothing enough. It got to the point where we started repeating the things. We started getting comfortable, and we didn't want that. So we went to different churches, we went to different organizations. Boston, like, there's a lot to do. So I remember the first thing we did out of our thing was, there was a mass choir where a lot of people from different churches got together, and they made a big choir, and then they had a conference to sing there. And from there, you get contact with other people, different churches, different leaders that understands, that have the same struggle as you. And then from there, you start connecting them. And we went to different churches. We went to, whenever they had conferences, whenever they had different activities, we did that.
Okay. So, okay, as a pre-K, your as I said, your experience is different from some other persons that yes. So what advice would you give to those that may not have that same experience as you did, a positive experience in that environment? Because you do hear good things, because you used to tell me stuff that you would hear about yourself, and again, as your best friend, I would know. I would know, because we had that relationship where we were open up about everything. So for some that are growing up in that environment, but you hear stuff that aren't true, or you see people bashing your dad, or even let's do that first, so that they're having a bad experience, not the best experience, with, like, let's say people congression going against their family, what would you advise them to do? Because that's something that you guys been through.
Mm, I would say that use that energy, use that negative energy and turn it into something extraordinary. How do I explain that? Okay, for example, there was this time, when when someone is doing something bad,
Uh-huh.
they're like, okay, so let me give an example. So you, in the Bible, you can't get married if you're divorced, if the
Okay.
person you were married to is
It's
still
still
alive.
alive. Yeah.
Right. So that was the case for someone. And my father was like, no, I can't
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the person says they're going to go to a different church
Mm-hmm.
because somebody's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And because my dad didn't do it,
Mm-hmm.
instead of be like, okay, tell me more about it, how can I fix it, instead of fixing it, they made it worse, and they started, what's the word, not cursing, but like saying, oh, you have daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna happen to your daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing those stories,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that people are expecting you to fail,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that there are what's the word, there are expectations
Mm-hmm.
for PKs. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they're out there, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that,
Mm-hmm.
use it
Mm-hmm.
and do the exact opposite, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know you're gonna fail, they know you're gonna do this. Just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't. The fact that she was like, oh, you have daughters, they're gonna mess up, they're gonna do this,
Mm-hmm.
that give us more reasons to not mess up, since they're expecting it. You're just like, well, keep waiting, because at the end of the day, it's you, yourself, your family.
Mm-hmm.
So because of in the role you are, if you mess up, your parents are gonna be gonna get affected.
Are you responsible for your parents? Because honestly, that's sometimes in our culture, it's used as a kind of a black, not, I can't say blackmail thing, but um you are responsible for your parents,
I
for what
see
people
what you're
think about your
saying,
parents. And I
but
I didn't always agree with it. I
okay,
guess
so
this is
if
a
you
rebel
do
in
your
me.
things, your parents are not responsible for your errors,
No, they're
because
not, but they take it as if you're making me look bad.
yeah, and it kind of is. And that's where, when my dad said don't shut him up, like, that's what he means by that. If
Mm-hmm.
you go out there and do bad things, he
But it's
won't be
not
able to
always
go.
black and white, I find.
It will not be, but overall, I feel like it has a lot to do with, especially with pastors' kids. Okay, everyone, not just pastors' kids, but there's more pressure, more eyes are on you, right? So even, let's say, if there's something that you would do, they'll just look at you and be like, oh, that's Christine, right? And if I'm doing the exact same thing, they'll be like, oh, that's the pastor's kids, right? You see the
Mm-hmm.
difference?
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, if it was, oh, it's Prisca, then you could feel like you're making your own decisions, you can do whatever you want, you can do this, you're your own person. But because your yourself is
Mm-hmm.
not represented as, this is Prisca, that was Prisca out there, no, it was the pastor's kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that's how they see you, I felt like which is a good thing, because then I don't know.
I hear you and I understand where you're coming from. But as you're saying it, my mind is just like you if you could see like how a machine works and it's just like putting everything together. Because what you're saying, I've experienced it in the church. Because you and I, where we were always like this, like we sit together, we do everything together, but I didn't like the attention, so it was easy for me to fall in the background. But preachers kids and persons that are deacons, like people that are high in the church, they got most of the attention. And if your parents wasn't involved in those things, nobody really knows you. So it's like whatever you do, no one cares. That's what it felt like no one cares. And I didn't find that was fair, to be honest. I kind of feel like everyone should have the same attention. Whereas, not to say I didn't really, I like the fact that not everyone was all up in my business. But if you were to see Christine going the wrong path, let me talk to her. But those didn't really know how to talk to people. It's most like bashing, to be honest. So it's like it's easier for you to fall because no one is really they're not really holding you accountable if your parents are not as involved in the church like that. And I always felt it and I didn't like it. Even when you're talking about the gifts, girl, I know if I hear my name, if I heard that I got a gift from the church, I know exactly who gave it to me. You. And it would just, and you would hear, Prisca got this, your sister got this, and this person got that, or madam, this person, deacon, this person got this, the family from this, like the family of this person. And I don't think that was,
Really?
yes. But you don't have the no, I can't say the privilege, but you're not privy to seeing that because you've been the center of attention. So if you're not, and my mom wasn't really involved in church like in the groups like that, but we always came to church, so no one is really watching and being like, okay, let me send this to this and this, and just like we had yeah, I didn't like it, and I don't think it's fair, especially if people in the church were supposed to be one family. Everyone should be seen equally, you know. One of the things that I didn't really like growing up in the church is that when somebody fall, um regardless, they talk bad, they talk down on you, or if you made your mom look bad, you make this person look bad. And the church as a family, I don't feel like we did good doing so, which was yes. And church hurt could come up from that. And that's why sometimes two people leave church, because like the love is not always felt there. As soon as you start doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, they watch you like you're nothing, they treat you like you're nothing. Yes, it does feel like I had a conversation with
Sorry, my throat.
oh, I think what I'm saying is too hot. But they had an experience. Let's say you are this you are the center of the really the church, and your sibling goes unseen because they kind of expect your sibling to be the same way, but because you're not, they're not, so it's like she doesn't matter. And it shouldn't be that way, because it's like I feel unloved, and the church is supposed to be the love. We're supposed to be the one that embraces people regardless of how they fall or what they do. Because once they fall and the love is not felt there, I will come to church, I come in just for God, but like the love, I won't have that kind of love for my brothers and sisters. And that's not what God has called us to do, you know?
You
So
felt that way?
which part?
That they didn't show you guys love?
I can say personally, but to some extent, I was okay with it, because like I wasn't I talked to everyone. Like I never had beef with anybody in the church, but I was very selective, and still to today, like because that's the kind of person I am. I am
Mm-hmm.
selective with who I'm around, and like who I'm with. Because even like when me and you were together, it was just me and you. We would sit down in front of the church. I didn't really like being in the back because everybody, all the young people was in the youth was in the back, and I don't like those things. I don't like too big of a crowd because problems, and then you hear this person. Nah, we used to sit in front, and I was okay with that. After you left, it was just me and two other persons.
Mm-hmm.
And after they left to go to France, it was just me sitting next to my mom, and that was it. And I have people that I would talk to in church, but then it wasn't. Yeah, it's like again, it's because of who I am. I don't really like the crowd, but it's more of yeah, if you're not a deacon daughter, if you're not a preacher's kid, no one is really studying you like that.
It
Or
is like that
unless you're
until
very involved, that too. If you're very
exactly.
involved in church, I was involved.
Yeah,
I
you
was
were.
involved.
Yeah, you were.
I was involved by force, but again, if people don't really know you like that, it's just that. Yeah. Sometimes I used to be shocked that people actually knew who my mom was. Maybe
She was
because of
in choirs and
yeah, after. Yeah. After she was in choir and she was in dam, but it's still a different experience compared
mm-hmm.
to someone that has their parents as like fully involved in church compared to thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my little vent. And I'm not the only person that felt that
No,
too.
I understand that. It's just like
I didn't really
anything,
have a
really.
thing to put to it. And
It's
then
like
when you tell me the
anything.
center of attention, I was like, oh, because everyone knew you. Everyone loved.
I made sure.
Everyone love Prisca. Oh my gosh, girl. But
I
yes.
it's like everywhere, really, because if you think about it, the president, you don't know them until they become president, and you
True.
now once they're president, you know their kids, you know their everything. They
Mm,
are the center of attention. So whatever they
true.
do,
Makes
I don't
sense.
know, like um I was watching something yesterday and they were like, oh, the Barack Obama's kids didn't mess up. And I was like, oh shoot. I felt that one. Like they were expecting them. They're like, even the dog didn't mess up. Even the dog didn't poop outside.
Actually,
I
there
was
was a
like,
time that they went out partying,
they
and it
went
wasn't
all
even.
out, like brought the camera real close to find something because they're expecting something.
But the parents didn't mind. They gave them but sometimes people want to paint the picture of how you should be.
Yeah.
And they did a wonderful job, I find, like protecting and being there for the church. So that's a good example. I like that. It is gonna be different when you're a president's daughter compared to, but the church though shouldn't still be kind
Because
of
think
different.
about it, like the president's daughter, like she did a TikTok dance that everyone is doing, and that made a big deal. If I did a TikTok dance, who cares? You know? But because she was the president's daughter, it made a big difference. So it really depends on where you're. Unfortunately, that's how it is. For people who don't like attention, like my little sister, that could have been terrible. She could have probably, if you, I would love for you to interview her to see her point of view of how being the center of attention was, because I love it, but she she does not do people.
And I tell you, I love Shidlin. I love your family. But you're not supposed to get like what's this face? It's his sister.
Center of attention. You love
Oh,
me.
child, I could love your little sister. Jeez. Yeah. Are you sure I have to put up with? Now I kind of feel like we kind of derail from an interview. We're just
Yes.
talking,
I'm
which is
sorry. I'm
okay.
sorry. Let's go
No,
back.
it's fine because I went into my little tangent and you listened. Um, but this was a great discussion. This was a great topic to talk on, to discuss, because your experiences, as I said, is not the same as others. So I'm grateful that your it was a positive thing for you to grow up in that household. Like it wasn't a traumatizing, it wasn't too much of a traumatizing experience for you. So I asked you what you would like to give advice to those, and I kind of we went on a tangent, but is there anything else that you would like to say before we close off?
Um, I guess I could say that don't make, I don't know how to phrase myself.
We'll give you time. We'll give you time. It's okay.
But okay, so don't make like people people's point of view or people's opinion about you defines the way you find your way to God, right? Because at the end of the day, it's him, it's God. It The pastors, the pastor's wife, even them, they're human too, you know.
True.
If they fall, it won't be on you. It won't be
True.
on you because being a pastor's kid does not grant you um your way to heaven.
True.
It does not put you ahead of other people, not because in church you have that special attention that it's going to be the same thing in heaven. You have to actually find your way. You have to find your personal relationship with God. So no matter how they treat you, it's a glorious feeling.
For you,
but
yes.
but don't yeah, for me. But don't let this go in your
Over
head
your
and
head, yeah.
not really um even if it's a bad thing for you, don't let that experience define your relationship with God. Find yourself um in your own pace. Trying to understand the word of God, not just by what your father, your whoever father and mother is
Mm-hmm.
saying to you. Try to find your own um path to God, because there's only one way, and it's by you accepting God as your personal savior.
Okay, best friend. Okay, preacher's kid. That was beautiful to say because when you first started, I was like, where is she going with it? Are you um don't listen to people? I was like, are you contradicting yourself? And then you said on your way to God. And that's you having that relationship with God, right?
Yeah.
And I could attest to it because you and I we are different, and the role that I'm in right now, I never thought I'd be in it, girl. Listen, and is like you have a huge role to play with it, but also I had to go on my own journey. My we were always like this, but my relationship with God was different. Um but God is able to use you regardless of whether you're a preacher's kid or not. The most important thing is to have that relationship with him, and point blank period. That's all it is. Yes, accepting him. This person calling bagala tema important. But yes, having that relationship with accepting him and having that relationship with him is very important, and knowing how your walk is between you and
Yep.
him.
Yep.
Because my journey does not look nothing like my best friend right over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talk, we go through, we talk about different things, but our relationship with God is different. The way I talk to God is different. The way she talks to God is different. It's all differences. But yeah, know God for yourself and not putting people on a pedestal is very important because no one is perfect. And the gem that you dropped, just because you're a preacher's kid doesn't give you the access to heaven, girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that is so
Yep.
true. You have to do the work. You have to have that relationship, your parents' relationship or your relative relationship with God is not your relationship with God. So, do the work. It's an amazing feeling knowing God and just talking to Him. And he's a person that's filled with humor. And when you talk, He will talk back. Not just you talking and you not listening. So
Mm.
talk, obey,
Yeah.
and know how it is to have that relationship with him because again it's different. Best friend, so
Yes.
thank you for this interview. It was really cool doing this with you. We were kind of all over the place at the
We rambled a
beginning
lot.
and did it at the end, but that's what it is. And this is my love. I'm happy I was able to have you here with me today. Hopefully this won't be the last. Even if it's not like a interview, it might be a traveling something, because my best friend over here, she loves to travel. And if you guys would like for her to book
Look at you.
a trip, book a trip for you and write down all the itinerary that you would like to do. She does these things for fun. I find it annoying. Flight, hotel, and those things, that she really enjoys doing it, and she does a good job. And she won't make you spend money that you don't need to be spending. So if you're looking for a reasonable trip and reasonable
Wow.
itinerary and those things, Prisca right here. She has Prisca's Journey. You could get her on Instagram. It's Prisca's Journey, Prisca's underscore journey, or Prisca's Journey. Which one is it? You don't even remember. She's not really too familiar with the IG, but if you contact me, I'll lead you to her. But you can get her on Facebook, Prisca. Is it Vision Joseph?
Vision Prince.
Okay. So Vision Prince is her Facebook. Like, really do like hit her up if you are really interested. I co-sign by it. She's really good at what she does, and one day she'll have her own business where she does these things, for people with a cost. So while take the deal while it's here. All right.
Wow.
So thank you
I
guys
was not
for
expecting that.
Listen, you're gonna be doing it, and now you're gonna hear it first here. So
Right.
thank you guys again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed a little talk and interview between me and my best friend.
Yes.
And this is not the last time that you'll see her here. And have a blessed and a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
All right.